morning!
Good morning everyone, and welcome to our final day here on Skye. Today we're exploring the northwest of the region, and we've started our day here at Neist Point, which is the westernmost tip of Skye. And we had a bit of an interesting drive getting here.
Yeah, we had a bit of a traffic jam on these roads. Just to be aware, if you're driving around, you can...
Biological traffic jam. But no, we've got here okay, and we're going to have a little walk down to the lighthouse out there.
Which is apparently one of the most photographed and spectacular looking lighthouse on Skye, so we just had to see it.
We did. Only a very short walk, probably about 20 minutes there, 20 minutes back. So the lighthouse first became operational in 1909, and then since 1990 it's actually become completely automated, so it doesn't need anybody to go down and light the light, which is pretty cool. So we're just leaving Neist Point now. It's probably worth the hike down, I think, but just be very careful. If the weather is a little wet, the path down is very, very steep and there's no steps. Could get very, very slippy, I think.
Yeah, just wear either walking boots or trainers. Don't come in heels, please. Or flip-flops.
The views along the coastline are just gorgeous.
So you can see some like waterfalls cascading at the side of the cliffs. It is amazing. So I can only imagine how this place looks during sunset. I've read that it's the perfect sunset spot, so if you come around that time, make sure to come here.
So we're going to head off for our next stop of the day, and we will see you when we get there. Bye. Okay, welcome to our next destination. We have come to Castle Dunvegan.
Dunvegan Castle is the seat of the chief of Clan Macleod and is the only Highland fortress to be continuously inhabited by the same family for the last 800 years. A castle was first built on the site in the 13th century and has been added to many times over the years before being remodeled in a mock medieval style by the 25th chief in the 19th century. So the castle was first opened to the public in 1933 and now receives hundreds of thousands of visitors a year. There are 5 acres of formal gardens to explore, from the water garden to the walled garden, and even some short woodland walks. The castle itself has a great collection of Clan Macleod's heirloom, including their most prized treasure, the fairy flag of Dunvegan. The sacred clan banner was probably from Syria or Rhodes and woven from silk in the 4th century. It is said to have miraculous power, so that when it was unfurled in battle, the clan would always snatch victory from the jaws of defeat.
We're going to have a wander around the gardens and the castle. You can get a garden ticket for £12 or a castle and garden ticket combined for £14. So now we're going to have a wander around the gardens first and then head to the castle a little bit later on. so we're just leaving Dunvegan Castle now. Really enjoyable to walk around there.
Yeah, definitely buy the combo ticket with the Castle and Garden one because it's worth going around the castle.
Yeah, there's some fun rooms. Like the little dungeon room was very creepy. We got one more stop for today. We're going to head over to Portree, capital I guess of Skye, and hopefully have a little wander around there. So we'll see you when we get there.
And welcome to Portree.
We're at our last stop for the day and our last stop in Skye. So yeah, a little bit bittersweet. We're going to do a circular walk just outside of Portree called the Scorrybreac Trail, which is a nice little loop that goes up onto the cliffs overlooking Portree and then round on the base as well, back to the town.
Yeah, it's about like just over 3 kilometers long. It should take us just under an hour.
Whoa, amazing views.
It's like having a jungle.
We heard this trail was a little bit overgrown, but this is ridiculous. We're literally walking through ferns, very thick ferns and brambles. So we're just coming back around into Portree now after doing the Scorrybreac loop. We are very wet, a lot wetter than when we started.
Yeah.
It's very overgrown in places, but I think if you had the views, we were unlucky that the fog rolled in. If you had the views,
if you see if this hill is foggy, just don't even bother doing it because it's not worth it.
Yeah.
But I assume the views are pretty epic if you come on a clear day.
So this is unfortunately our last day in Skye. We've had a great time here.
Yeah.
We have got one more day left in Scotland. We're going to be starting to head back down towards home, but we are going to be doing a few stop-offs along the way.
Whilst it didn't feel like the footage we took from the stops we made on our way back home was enough to warrant its own video, we did want to share with you guys what we got up to on those last few days in Scotland, as there are some really cool sights to see on your way north or south from the Highlands.
Our first stop was the stunning Donan Castle in Dorney, not far from the Isle of Skye. The first fortified castle was built here in the 13th century, with at least 4 different versions being built and rebuilt over the years. It was partially destroyed during the Jacobite uprising in 1719 and lay in ruin for almost 200 years until restoration began in 1911. It was then reopened in 1932 and is now recognised as one of the most iconic images of Scotland all over the world, as well as being one of the most visited places in the Scottish Highlands.
Our second stop was at the beautiful Kilchurn Castle at the head of Loch. This fortress was built by Sir Colin Campbell, the first Lord of Glenorchy, in the mid-1400s. It was the power base for the Campbells of Glenorchy for about 150 years before being converted into a garrison stronghold in 1689. The barracks block could house 200 men and is now the oldest surviving barracks on the British mainland. The stronghold was hardly used, however, and was abandoned in the 18th century.
We then drove on to Loch Lomond and the Trossachs National Park, where we stopped at the Falls of Falloch at the very northern end of Loch Lomond. This impressive waterfall stands 30 feet high and can be reached by a very short walk from the parking area, a great little leg stretch if you've been sat in the car for a long time.
So we spent the night around Loch Lomond before our final activity took us out onto the loch itself. We booked a short 1-hour circular cruise around Loch Lomond with Sweeney's Cruise Company, which lets you enjoy the beautiful national park from a fresh perspective. The cruises depart from Falloch at the southern end of the Loch. The experienced cruise that we did takes you out to Inchmarine Island, the largest of Loch Lomond's 33 islands, and home to the ruins of Lennox Castle, where Robert the Bruce once sheltered before he was to become King of Scotland. The cruise is a great way to see the Loch and learn a bit more about its fascinating history and landscapes.
We hope you've enjoyed watching our videos of sort of the top things to do around the different areas of Skye. If you enjoyed this one, make sure you give us a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe, and we will see you on our next adventure.
Bye!
Bye!